Story 1. Black River Gorges. National Park in Mauritius is beautiful. From above, it looks almost untouched. Rolling green mountains, thick rainforest, waterfalls cutting through valleys. But once you're actually inside the park, you realize something. The forest is too dense to see more than about 30 feet in any direction, which means if someone was standing out there, you'd never know. In 2019, a tourist named Daniel decided to hike the Maccabee Trail. It's one of the park's most famous routes, about a 3-hour loop through deep rainforest. Daniel had hiked all over the world, so this trail seemed simple. He started around noon. The first hour was peaceful, birds everywhere, bright sunlight cutting through the canopy, occasional hikers passing by. Normal, but eventually the trail narrowed, the forest thickened, and the number of hikers slowly dropped to 0, which Daniel didn't think much about at first, until he noticed the footprints. They were in the mud on the trail ahead, deep impressions, bare feet. Now hiking barefoot isn't completely unheard of, but the strange thing was how fresh they looked. The mud was still glossy, like whoever made them had passed through minutes earlier. Daniel continued walking, and every few minutes he saw another footprint, then another, always bare feet. Eventually the forest became strangely quiet. No birds, no insects, just wind moving the leaves. Then he heard a sound behind him, a twig snapping. Daniel turned around. Nothing, just the empty trail stretching behind him. He assumed it was an animal, but about 10 minutes later, something happened that made his stomach drop. The footprints ahead of him suddenly stopped. They didn't turn, they didn't leave the trail, they just ended, right in the middle of the path. Daniel stood there staring at them, trying to make sense of it. Then he heard breathing, not loud, but close, somewhere in the trees. Daniel slowly turned his head, and that's when he saw him. About 20 feet away in the forest, standing completely still, was a man. He was filthy. His clothes were torn. His feet were covered in dried mud, bare. Daniel assumed the man was a lost hiker, so he waved. "Hey man, you okay?" The man didn't answer. He just stared, completely expressionless. Then he took one slow step backward into the jungle, still staring, then another and another, until the trees swallowed him. Daniel stood there for a moment confused. Then he decided it was probably best to turn around. But as he walked back down the trail, he started hearing something behind him. Footsteps, soft, slow, matching his pace. When Daniel stopped walking, the footsteps stopped. When he started again, they started again. Finally, Daniel turned around suddenly, and the man was standing there, right in the middle of the trail, much closer now. Daniel asked if he needed help. The man said one sentence, quietly, "You shouldn't hike here alone." Then he stepped off the trail and vanished again into the trees. Daniel didn't wait. He walked fast, almost jogging, all the way back to the entrance. When he told the ranger what happened, the ranger went completely silent. Then he asked Daniel a question. Did the man have shoes with him? Daniel said no. The ranger sighed, because apparently there had been a missing hiker search in that exact area, a man who vanished on that trail 3 days earlier. The only thing search teams ever found were bare footprints in the mud. That stopped suddenly, in the middle of the trail. They never found him. Story 2. There's a quiet rule among experienced hikers. If you arrive at a trailhead and see one single car parked there, pay attention, because that means someone else is already deep in the woods, and you have no idea who. A college student named Maya learned this the hard way. Maya and 2 friends were driving through Colorado during a road trip. They stopped at a little-known trail near a national park. It was late afternoon, almost sunset. The parking lot was just a small dirt clearing, surrounded by forest, and there was only one vehicle there, an old white van. No one inside, no movement around it. Maya said the place immediately felt strange, too quiet, but her friends convinced her it was fine. So they grabbed flashlights and started down the trail. About 15 minutes in, they noticed something odd. There was trash scattered everywhere, candy wrappers, water bottles, food containers. Not normal trail litter, more like someone had been living out there. Then they heard a whistle, one short whistle, from somewhere in the trees. They stopped walking, listening, nothing. Then it happened again, 2 whistles. From deeper in the woods, Maya turned off her flashlight, and that's when she saw something. About 50 yards ahead, in the darkness, there was another light, a flashlight. Then another one appeared, to the side, then a third, behind them. Her friend whispered, "Those people aren't hiking." Then one of the lights blinked twice, like a signal. Suddenly the whistling started again, but now it was coming from multiple directions, from behind them, from deeper in the forest, from the sides of the trail. They realized something horrifying. They had been surrounded. Maya yelled, "Run!" All 3 of them sprinted back toward the trailhead, branches hitting their faces, leaves crunching under their feet. Behind them, they could hear movement in the woods, fast movement, people running parallel through the trees. When they burst out of the forest, the parking lot was exactly the way they left it, except for one thing. The van's sliding door was open now. Inside were sleeping bags, coolers, food supplies, maps, dozens of empty water bottles, like multiple people had been living there for weeks. Then Maya looked back toward the trail entrance, and she saw them, 3 silhouettes, standing at the edge of the trees, watching, not moving, not speaking, just standing there. They got in their car and drove away immediately. Later that night, they reported the incident to park authorities, but when rangers checked the trail the next morning, the van was gone, and there were no signs anyone had been there, except for one thing: fresh footprints in the dirt, dozens of them, leading deep into the forest. Story 3. Some national parks are so large that once you're deep enough inside them, you are completely alone. No cell service, no cameras, no witnesses, and sometimes you run into someone who seems a little too comfortable out there. A backpacker named Kyle was hiking in a remote park in Washington state. It was supposed to be a simple solo hike. About 2 hours into the trail, he saw a man sitting on a fallen tree. The man looked like a normal hiker, mid-40s, backpack, weathered jacket. Kyle nodded politely. The man smiled, then asked, "First time on this trail?" Kyle said yes. The man nodded slowly, then said something strange. "Most people don't make it very far." Kyle laughed awkwardly and kept walking, but about 20 minutes later, he saw the man again, standing beside the trail, ahead of him. Kyle assumed the man had taken a shortcut, but it kept happening, every 20 minutes or so. The man appeared again, always ahead of him, always smiling. Finally, Kyle asked how he kept getting in front of him. The man shrugged, then said quietly, "I know every way through these woods." Something about the way he said it felt wrong. After the 4th time it happened, Kyle decided to turn around, but when he retraced his steps, the trail behind him was gone, completely swallowed by forest. Kyle started to panic, trying to remember which direction he came from. Then he heard a voice behind him. "Lost?" Kyle turned around. The man was standing right there, closer than ever before. Kyle said he was heading back to the parking lot. The man tilted his head slightly, then said something that made Kyle's blood run cold. "People who turn around here usually don't find their way out." Kyle walked past him without saying anything. Eventually, by pure luck, Kyle found the trail again, and hours later, he reached the parking lot. When he reported the strange encounter to a ranger, the ranger listened carefully, then asked one question: "Did he keep appearing ahead of you?" Kyle nodded. The ranger looked uneasy, then said quietly, "That trail used to have a volunteer guide, a guy who helped lost hikers." Kyle asked what happened to him. The ranger paused, then said, "He disappeared in those woods about 5 years ago. They searched for weeks. They never found his body." Then the ranger added something else. "People still report seeing someone out there, helping hikers, but always in the wrong direction." Story 4. There's something about the roads that lead into national parks, long stretches of highway, empty forests, miles and miles without another car. Most of the time it's peaceful, but sometimes it means if something goes wrong, no one will be around to help you. In 2021, a man named Aaron was driving alone through northern Arizona. He planned to camp inside a national park that night. It was a 6-hour drive from Phoenix, and by the time he reached the mountains, the sun had already started setting. The road leading into the park was almost completely empty, just trees and darkness. About 20 minutes before the park entrance, Aaron stopped at a small gas station. It was the kind of place that looked like it hadn't changed since the 1980s. One pump, one small store, one employee inside. Aaron filled up his car, went inside, and bought a bottle of water. While he was paying, the clerk asked him where he was headed. Aaron said he was going camping inside the park. The clerk paused for a moment, then asked, "Alone?" Aaron said yes. The clerk didn't respond right away. He just looked out the window toward Aaron's car, then quietly said something strange. "Don't stop for anyone once you pass the entrance road." Aaron laughed awkwardly. He assumed the guy was joking, but the clerk didn't smile. He just said, seriously. Aaron didn't ask any more questions. He got back in his car and kept driving. The road became narrower as it climbed into the mountains. Tall pine trees closed in on both sides, and eventually there were no more houses, no lights, nothing, just forest. About 15 minutes later, Aaron noticed something up ahead. A car parked on the shoulder of the road. Its headlights were off, but the driver door was open. Standing next to the car was a man, waving his arms, trying to flag someone down. Aaron slowed down instinctively, but then he remembered what the gas station clerk had said. Don't stop for anyone. Aaron hesitated. The man kept waving, looking desperate. For a moment, Aaron considered pulling over. Maybe the guy needed help. Maybe his car broke down, but something about the scene didn't feel right. The man wasn't standing near the engine or the trunk. He was standing in the middle of the road, blocking it. Aaron slowly drove around him instead. The man stepped aside reluctantly, but as Aaron passed him, the man stared directly into the car and smiled. Not a relieved smile, not a thankful smile, just a strange smile. Aaron kept driving. His heart was beating faster now, but after a few minutes the road was empty again, just trees and darkness. Then he looked in his rearview mirror and saw headlights. A car had pulled onto the road behind him. Following, Aaron assumed it was the man from the shoulder. Maybe he'd gotten his car working, but something didn't make sense. The man's car had been parked facing the wrong direction, toward the mountains, not the highway. Aaron sped up slightly. The headlights behind him sped up too. Then something happened that made Aaron's stomach drop. The headlights turned off. Now the car behind him was completely invisible, except for the faint outline in the darkness, still following. Aaron pressed harder on the gas. The road curved through the forest, but every time he glanced in the mirror, the car was still there, silent. No lights. Finally, the national park entrance sign appeared ahead. Aaron pulled into the ranger station parking lot. There were lights, people, safety. The car behind him slowed down, then turned around and disappeared back down the road. Aaron told the ranger what happened. The ranger listened carefully, then asked a question. Was the car dark-colored? Aaron said yes. The ranger nodded slowly, then explained something disturbing. Over the past year, multiple visitors had reported the same thing. A car parked on the road, a man waving for help, and another vehicle following people afterward, with its headlights off. Aaron asked if they ever caught the person. The ranger shook his head, then added one final detail. About 40 miles back down the highway, there had been 3 disappearances in the past 2 years. All drivers traveling alone, all heading toward the park. Their cars were eventually found, parked on remote forest roads, doors open, keys still inside. But the drivers were never found, and according to the ranger, every one of them had stopped to help someone on the road. National parks are some of the most beautiful places on Earth. Millions of people visit them every year to escape the noise of the world, to hike quiet trails, to breathe fresh air, and to disappear into nature for a while. But that same isolation that makes these places peaceful is also what makes them dangerous, because once you step deep enough into the wilderness, you're often completely alone. No cell service, no cameras, no witnesses, and sometimes the person you cross paths with out there is someone who doesn't want to be found. Or worse, someone who's been waiting for someone like you. Every year, people vanish inside national parks. Some get lost, some fall, and some are never seen again. So the next time you find yourself hiking a quiet trail or driving down a lonely road into the wilderness, pay attention, because sometimes the scariest thing in the forest isn't the animals, it's the other people. Before you go, I'm curious. Have you ever experienced something strange while hiking, camping, or driving through a remote place? Something you still can't explain? If you have, tell your story in the comments, because some of the most disturbing stories on this channel have come from viewers just like you. And if you enjoyed these stories, there are plenty more strange encounters and unexplained disappearances waiting to be uncovered. So subscribe, and I'll see you in the next story.